Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. Today we'll discuss halacha in this week's Parsha, Parshat Nasso. Perik Vav Pasuk Aleph, Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe Leimer, Daber b'nei Yisrael v'amarta aleim, speak to the Yidden and tell them, if it ever happens that a ish or a isha, a man or a woman, ki yafli linder neder nazir, that he wants to become a nazir. Literally translated, it means that a man or a woman that wants to disassociate themselves from the normal standard way of living, and they want to sort of feel a stronger connection to Elikus. Nazir lahazir Hashem. They want to make a pledge, and they want to become a nazir for Hashem. Now, the Torah says, what happens if somebody takes upon himself such a bond, such a responsibility? How do you show that? But the actual act of wanting to become a nazir, the Torah describes it with the word ki yafli. It's not a common word. And the Ibn Ezra actually says that yafli, yafrish, means he wants to disassociate himself. He wants to separate himself. Oy yasa davar pella. Perhaps it means yafli miloshin pella, miloshin wonder, that this person who's doing something which is wondrous, because the average person doesn't behave that way. Why? Ki roiv ha'olam hoilchim achar tavasam. The world is set up, the Eibishter created the world in such a way that everybody likes to have taivas and everybody follows their heart's desires. For a person to try to have this feeling of wanting to become a nazir is pella, is a wonder. That's the pshat that Ibn Ezra says. Actually, we know that Rashi brings in the beginning of the parsha. The Rashi says that Roya Soita B'Kulkula Yazir Min Yayin. Somebody sees the story, or he hears about the story of a soita, he should separate himself from drinking wine, because drinking wine is something which is ma'ir kilkul Rahman al-Atzlan. So there is an inyan in separating from the taiva. However, the other way how to look at the pella taking place here is some Mefarshim say you're doing something not typical, because why don't you just follow the rule, what the Torah says is prohibited? Loi dayach masha asra Torah. Why do you have to be frummer than the frum? So there's two opposite ways in the pella. Now, what does the Torah say? If somebody wants to get connected, the Seforno says, don't convince yourself that the way to be connected more and more is by disassociating yourself and not doing the mitzvahs of Hashem. No. The nazir becomes a nazir by following these rules. Yain v'shecher yazir, choymetz yain v'choymetz shecher layishta. And the pasuk lists off a bunch of things that the Torah says he should not do because he wants to become a nazir. He took the nazir pledge. And the pasuk mentions here 7 different things that are associated with wine. And it's important to note that this is a slightly different halacha than the halacha that we know that's mentioned earlier, that somebody who's intoxicated should not walk into the Beis HaMikdash, or somebody who's a shesur yayin can't paskin a din, or somebody who's a shesur yayin perhaps cannot daven. That is more intoxicated. That is more shichrus, being drunk. Over here, it's anything which is connected to wine. And the pasuk lists off here 7 things. Yayin, shecher, chaymetz yayin, vinegar made out of wine, chaymetz shecher. But then there's a couple of chedushim, which are general chedushim for many halachas and shas. Mishras anavim. Mishras anavim means to say, even if wine, grapes, were soaking in water, and the water got a grapey color, a wine color, even that he cannot have, because there's a connection to wine. Anavim lachim, anavim yaveshim. So there's 2 halachas that I would like to discuss about this mishras anavim. First of all, the Maril says a interesting psak din. He says, since the Torah considers the water that the grapes were soaking in as if extension to the grapes, if somebody has challah and challah or bread fell into wine, and now it's soaking in wine, and you're in the middle of the meal, when you want to eat that challah, you have to make a borei priya gufen, because the Torah considers that liquid as the gufen. Another very important halacha, which the Gemara learns out from Mishras Hanavim, is we see that tam ki'ikar, that even the taste of the essence of an item, of a food item, has the same issues as the item itself. And that is a lengthy discussion in all the halachas of Taruvis, all the halachas of Basa B'chalav, and all the halachas of Kashrus. Even though you don't have the essence of the Isser, but you have the tam of the Isser, and that concerns us too. The last thing I want to talk about is when the Nazir pledges to become a Nazir, and the Torah says he cannot have wine. So Chazal tell us even it overpowers even the wine of Kiddush, even the wine of Havdalah, and even the wine of Mitzvah. The wine of Kiddush and Havdalah, Gemara doesn't say it's a mitzvah. The Gemara says there's ways around it, because it's not Mushba Va'emed Mahar Sinai that you must use Kiddush wine. It could be B'dvarim, it could be other ways, etc. What is the Yain Shel Mitzvah? If someone made a shvuah that he will drink wine, so he's obligated to drink wine, and then later he takes upon himself Nazirus, this mitzvah, or this obligation that he took upon himself in Nazirus, overpowers the mitzvah of fulfilling his shvuah pledge of drinking wine. Yeshikoyach, and please join us again next week.